191 questions. Wow. So let me start off with this one. Do you ever go back to Croatia, and do you speak the language? I am in Croatia right now, and yes, I do speak the language. Let me show you Croatia real quick. So guys, take a look. This is Croatia. It's really a beautiful place. Right now I'm in an island right across from the city Split called Brač, and this is one of the most beautiful places in the world. If you haven't been, I highly recommend that you check out Croatia. What is your favorite court surface to play, and why? And what court surface do you dislike the most, and why? So this is going to surprise you guys, but my favorite surface to play on is a super muddy, slow clay in Germany when it's really cold and damp out. I grew up in Germany, and this suits my game perfectly well because the ball doesn't bounce very high when the clay is soft and wet. The ball just sits in my pocket every time, and I play amazingly well on that type of surface. My least favorite surface would be carpet, and I don't know if you guys know what that is. In Germany, indoor courts are usually made out of carpet, and you have to play with shoes that don't have any profile, so you can actually slide a little bit. And this is a surface that's incredibly fast, and you would think with my serve it would suit me, but I don't have naturally quick reflexes. I'm not naturally very fast, so I can serve well on that surface, but I have a really hard time from the baseline. So I always really disliked playing on carpet. How to keep a junior player motivated and having fun in learning and playing tennis? Well, this is something that's a really interesting question, because in my opinion, a junior player must like tennis themselves. You cannot force tennis upon someone. Either they're going to like it or not. And often when kids are put into group lesson situations, the fun is artificial. So in other words, the kids are not necessarily in love with the game, but they're in love with the games they're playing on the court. They're in love with the camaraderie with the other kids. But then when they go out on the court with their parents or with another kid and they try to rally and they don't possess a proper technique, then all of a sudden tennis is not fun, because every 5 seconds you got to go pick up the balls. So the true fun for a kid is to fall in love with actually hitting the tennis ball without any artificial fun that's created by the coach. But a kid must fall in love with simply hitting the ball, and that is going to be how this kid is going to continue to play tennis for a long time. Okay, the waves are getting a little bit too high. I gotta change locations real quick. Okay guys, this is better. How much tennis is too much tennis? This is an excellent question, and I'm glad that you asked me about this, because I'm the perfect person to answer it, because I was a workaholic as a tennis player. See, naturally, I don't possess a lot of natural talent. So everything that I accomplished in tennis was a result of hard work. This is the only way I was able to get results. And sometimes, yes, I was overtraining. I'll never forget my dad one day where I put in 3 sessions of tennis. I did 1 in the morning, 1 midday, and 1 in the evening. And when I was on the court in the evening at like 8 o'clock, my dad came on the court and really gave me a talking to. He said, "It's absolutely ridiculous what you're doing. You're overtraining, you're playing too much." And I think one of the negative effects of overtraining was that I was getting hurt a lot. I had a lot of injuries throughout my playing career, and I was simply training too much. So the best advice I can give you is just listen to your body. Your body will let you know if you're overdoing it. If you're feeling pain, if you're feeling exhaustion, it's time to slow down with the training. What are some advices you can give to a new coach? My old coach told me it's trial and error, but I feel like there could be more than that. So look, your old coach is not wrong. A lot of times you learn by doing, so trial and error is not the worst method. But the most important thing that I've learned as a coach is to set my ego aside. And when I don't know something, I'm not afraid to tell my students the simple sentence, "I don't know." And I don't usually say it like that. I say, "Let me get back to you on that." That sounds a little bit more positive coming from a coach. So when I don't know something, I do the research. As a coach, you always have to continue to learn. Tennis is such a complex game. There's always new things that you're going to discover. Why do you think Monfils isn't really winning matches anymore? And also, what do you think of Kyrgios? And maybe say something about Bautista Agut, because he's very underrated. Yeah, Bautista Agut is an unbelievable player. He's a weird player in the sense that he's not like a typical Spaniard and hits the ball very flat. He's really good on all surfaces. So he's a really, really tough player. And I agree, maybe he's a little bit under the radar, but I think he's going to be around for a while, and he's going to be in and out of the top 10, in my opinion. When it comes to Monfils is getting a little bit old. I think he's got a lot of problems with injuries, so that might be his biggest downfall. He often takes big chunks of the season off, and when you do that, it's very hard to get on a roll to build confidence. So I think Monfils has just unfortunately been injured too many times. And Nick Kyrgios is one of my favorite players, but I think Nick has to set his ego aside. I think Nick is in a big ego trap. He simply thinks that he's better than he actually is. If you look at his career, he's got 2 500 titles. He made it to a semifinal of a Masters, and he made it to a quarterfinal of Wimbledon. He often likes to put himself in a category of Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer because he's beaten them. But if you look at those results, if you look at Nick's career, he is nowhere near those guys. So what Nick needs to do is set his ego aside, realize that he's actually not as good as he thinks he is, and start working really hard to start posting some better results. How do you progress after reaching 4.5 level? This is a really good question because I think the jump from 4.5 to 5.0 is really tough, and I'm going to tell you why. Some of the 5.0s have had competitive tennis experience. Maybe they played in high school, maybe they even played in college. And a 4.5 often is someone who started tennis a little bit later. So it's really tough to bridge that gap, to get ahead of guys who have had a lot of competitive tennis experience. But it's not impossible. I have coached several players to the 5.0 level. It does take a lot of work, and that was pretty close. I think I might have to move again. You guys probably saw that one coming. But yeah, you got to be super patient, super resilient, and you got to work really hard. It's not going to be something that's going to happen in 1 year. This might take 5-6 years to accomplish. So it's not impossible. Yes, it is tough, but you got to be resilient, patient, and give yourself a lot of time. And yes, I do think it's possible to go from 4.5 to 5.0. All right, guys, it's time to get out of here. This is way better. Prem Rajan Tirupati. And guys, take a look at this handsome guy because he wanted me to show his face. And I did, and he asked, why finish the shots? Is it so important, and is it a big deal? So the finish is maybe the most important thing on your shots. Let me show you real quick why. And guys, I don't have a racket here, so I'm going to use this bottle as my racket. And the reason why the finish is so important, because there's a delay between our intention and our body executing the action. So if I wanted to stop my forehand right at the moment of contact, here's what would happen in reality. Because of this delay, I would have to slow down way before the contact point in order to stop the racket right here. And most likely, I wouldn't be able to stop it anyway. And the reason is because the forehand is accelerating at a really fast pace. So even with this bottle, if you take a look, if I swing fast and now the bottle flew out of my hand, I actually wasn't able to stop it right here, and I was forced to slow it down way prior to the contact in order to do so. So the reason why you must finish your shots is because that is the only way to get the maximum amount of acceleration right around the contact point. That's why you have to intend to finish your shot as far as you can every single time. What kind of online teaching will you make in the future? Two-handed backhand. So this refers to my online courses. Yes, I do sell online courses. You guys might not know that because I don't believe in aggressive marketing, so you'll never see an ad for my courses prior to a YouTube video. This is something that I don't like doing. I do have courses. I put them out there. I let my private email list members know when a course comes out, and that's about it. I don't really advertise for it. I have a sale once a year for Black Friday, and I do one course per topic. So I already did the serve, the one-handed backhand, I did the forehand, I did the volleys, and the overhead, and that is it. I'm not going to do a serve course again, for example, because I put everything I had into that one course, and it doesn't make any sense to now do a whole another course. So the things that I'm going to do in the future as far as courses, I'm definitely going to do the two-handed backhand. I'm going to do a tactics course, and I might do a fitness course and a mental game course. And I'm probably going to do about one course per year because those things take
forever to make. You guys need to understand that I'm a one-man show at Intuitive Tennis. I do everything myself, and I like it that way. I do have some people that help me out with certain things, but when I do a course, I do 99% of the work myself, and it does take a ton of time. It takes months to complete a course, so all I can do is do about one of these per year. What do you think about Medvedev's tennis style? Could his style bring him slams? Yes, absolutely. I think once Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer are done, I think the three guys that are going to be really dangerous to win any Grand Slam they enter are Zverev, Tsitsipas, and Medvedev. I would put Thiem on that list as well, but he seems to have some injury issues and he's kind of up and down. But those three guys I feel like are going to be the top three guys of tennis for the future. And I do think Medvedev is a fantastic player that has a chance to win multiple Grand Slams. As far as his style, this is a really complex thing that I just can't answer in a minute or two. So I'm going to do a whole separate video on Medvedev's technique. So you guys got to look out for that.
All right, guys, let's keep going. I'm going to try to get out of here and continue to answer questions as I go along. You got to excuse me if the camera is shaking a little bit, but we got to keep plugging away. I want to answer as many questions as possible. So, it's a pretty general question. What do you think can be done to improve the popularity of tennis, especially when it's still considered a rich people's sport by a good amount of people and in various of regions? That's a pretty good question. So tennis is popular in certain regions of the world, and yes, it has lost popularity in other regions of the world, and it simply has never been popular in other regions. So for example, places like Germany and Sweden, the popularity has gone down. But I've heard that places like Turkey and Italy, the popularity has gone up by a lot. So I think some of it depends on whether a country has a lot of good professional players. I do think that is a huge factor when it comes to popularity of tennis. And it also matters maybe if a country used to be really great at tennis and then all of a sudden became mediocre, like for example the United States on the men's side, maybe Germany and maybe Sweden, that used to be superpowers of tennis, and now they still have good players, but it's not even close to what it used to be like, and people are just get used to a certain level of tennis, and when that level is not there anymore, they don't really seem to be interested. Okay, next question. Why have European players dominated the game for the last 20 years? So I made 2 videos on this topic, and I don't mind dabbling into this topic again. So in my opinion, the number one reason why Europeans do a lot better on the male side is that they transition a lot better from the juniors into the pros. See, America has a lot of great junior players. They always dominate the ITF rankings. So the ITFs are the 18 and under rankings for junior players. And the United States is always on the top. Right now they have the most amount of players in the top 100, but something happens in the transition phase. So simply, the answer is European players are dominating the game because they jump from the junior circuit onto the adult circuit much better. And I think the reason for that is they simply had a better infrastructure. They have more availability for high-level adult matches. So who's the GOAT? Well, I hate to disappoint you Federer fans, but I don't think Federer is in the discussion of GOAT. And I'll tell you why. Federer came on the tour without Djokovic and Nadal, and he picked up a bunch of slams before 2005, 2006 when Nadal started playing well, and then Djokovic started playing well around 2007. So once Djokovic and Nadal started playing well, Federer is behind those two guys in every single stat that you can look at. He's behind Djokovic on grass, he's behind Djokovic on hard court, he's behind Rafa on clay, of course, and Rafa has beaten him on hard court and grass as well. So in my opinion, Djokovic and Nadal are the GOATs. Now, who's better from those two? I do think when both guys are playing at their absolute best, Djokovic is a little bit better. Something about him that's the will to win, it's just incredible. I've never seen it from any other player ever, so I do think he's probably the GOAT, but you know, it's going to be judged on the results. I think Djokovic plans to play the Paris Olympics, if you can imagine that, 4 years from now. So if he really is going to do that, he's going to shatter all records and he's going to be considered the GOAT.
So we'll see how it goes over the next few years, but it does look like Nole is going to be the best of all time. All right, I think I walked the wrong way. I gotta make a little jump here. Okay, I'm okay. I'm all right. All right, so this question, I actually got to read it again. I was gonna memorize it, but I got to read it again because it's a good one. When will tennis instructors learn some physics, and after which stop promoting physics nonsense? Wow, well, it's a little bit of a rough question, but let me get into physics. I don't know much about physics, and I don't think you need to know anything about physics to be able to teach tennis. Why do I say that? Because we need to make tennis simple. It's a simple game, and if we bring the message across with simple explanations that a 5-year-old can understand, this is the way to teach tennis. So tennis instructors do not need to know anything about physics. They don't need a physics degree. They need to be able to teach tennis with simple instructions that even a 5-year-old can follow. And that is my answer. It's unnecessary. It is often a way for some instructors to show off and start throwing terms around and start throwing all these scientific explanations of everything. People won't be able to follow that. That's a very difficult thing to follow as a student. It's often unnecessary and doesn't lead to improvement. So the simpler, the better. I want you guys to see this. Look at that. That is absolutely incredible, isn't it? So let me read the next questions while you guys get to look at the beautiful sunset. And it is an important question. Sir, I'm unable to hit the ball properly, and I have problem in forehand because of which I'm having back pain and shoulder pain. So this is a really important question, and I'm going to tell all you guys, do not ask me about pain. I am not a doctor. Why would you ask a tennis pro about pain? I can't help you. I'm sorry that you have pain, but please go see your doctor. Can in-person coaching is the best, and can online coaching and reviews compare to give same improvement as in-person coaching? So I do believe in online coaching because I've seen it. I have had students who have never seen me in person, who have taken some of my courses, who have done video analysis, and have improved tremendously. So I do think that online coaching can work, but it does require a lot of work from both the online instructor and the student. There needs to be a back and forth. There needs to be an exchange of information. And if the student is really committed, I think it can work really well. Of course, the best thing to do is to do an in-person training. There's no question about that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that online coaching is better than in person, because in person I can immediately see the mistakes you're making, I can correct them, and we don't have to send videos back and forth. But I do believe in online coaching. Albert E asks, I was wondering when or if you have any merchandise on the horizon for your channel. I would totally sport an intuitive tennis visor on the court if you had one. Thanks for making tennis fun again. Thank you, Albert. And yes, I do have merch. There's a link in my description. It says merch. You click on it. There's t-shirts, there's sweaters. I'm going to make a visor. I don't have one yet, but I definitely have merch. And if you want to buy something, I would be very appreciative. And let's finish off with my friend Markus Leikau from Mein Tennis Game. For all you German speaking viewers of mine, check out Mein Tennis Game. Markus Leikau is a personal friend of mine. I'm a huge hip-hop fan, so I listen to rap from the United States, but also listen to German rap. And Markus Leikau is a rapper. His rap name is Leikau. I was a fan of this guy before I even knew he had a YouTube channel.
Dass du vergisst, wer ich für dich war, Schande über dich. Du bist ein Mann, der noch heute in seinen Strampelanzug pisst, Loser. Sag, was hast du denn gerissen? Es war gut hinter deinem Rücken, Jetzt zerbricht dir dein Kopf. Ja, wer ist es nur? Hör auf deinen Instinkt, du Missgeburt. Das, was du hast, hast du von mir. Das, was du kannst, kannst du von mir. Was du auch machst, du fragst du nach mir. Wer bist du denn? Wer bist du denn? Das, was du hast, hast du.
Oh, sorry guys, I was vibing to the song a little bit too hard. But Markus asks, what is the weakness in your game? So I know why Markus is asking this, because he wants to play a match against me. He wants us to record it, and he thinks he has a chance. But Markus, I'm here to tell you, I'm gonna tell you all my weaknesses, but it's not going to matter because I'm going to be blasting my serves. I'm going to be making short points. There's not going to be any rallies. Marcus is one of the fittest guys I've ever seen. This guy is completely ripped, and I'm not. I'm completely out of shape. I'm working at it. You saw my getting back in shape video, so I'm getting a little better, but I'm in no shape compared to Marcus. But it doesn't matter because I'm going to serve big. I'm going to blast the ball. And yes, okay, here I'll tell you my weaknesses. My weaknesses are the high backhand. If you put the ball high to my backhand, I'm going to have a hard time with my two-hander. Also, I don't move too well, so if you get me on the run, if you open up the court, I'm going to be moving slowly and you have chances to put me under a lot of pressure. But guess what? I'm going to be blasting the ball so hard, we're not going to have any rallies. So that's it, guys. I'm exhausted. I answered way more than 10 questions, and this was my Q&A from beautiful Croatia. Again, if you ever have a chance to visit, you should come down here. It's really a beautiful place. Also, for all the questions I wasn't able to answer, I tried to get in as many as I could, but I might do another Q&A down the road, and maybe I'll get to those questions as well. Take care, guys.